This week, a Muslim politician in Quebec, this woman, Eve Torres, who wears a hijab, who ran for the left-wing Quebec Solidaire Party, who is a public affairs spokesman for the Islamist National Council of Canadian Muslims, she made a threat.
2016, the annual maximum amount is $50,000 per family, depending on how many people there are. That includes a one-time payment to set up their household. After 1 year, they become eligible for provincial social assistance at the same rates as other Canadians are. The third category of refugees is a blended visa office referred program of traveling to Canada. The maximum loan is $10,000, even for large families of 8 people or more. It's interest-free for 1 to 3 years, and then refugees have up to 6 years to repay it. The influx of refugees could have an impact on housing, for example.
Eve Torres, a hijab-wearing Muslim activist, official spokesman for a large Muslim lobby group, former candidate for an Islam-oriented left-wing political party in Quebec, said that the fire in Paris that consumed the Notre Dame was divine punishment to France for banning the Muslim burqa, which France has done.
Accepted, or if they're in the appeals process. They get the same amount as Canadian citizens, and there's no cap on it. So no matter how many people apply, everyone gets the same amount. Meanwhile, their children can go to public school as soon as they have a permanent address. And they can access legal aid in 6 provinces. Ottawa covers most of that cost. Now, it's important to note that refugee claimants are eligible to apply for a work permit.
You get a car! You get a car! You get a car! You get a car! Everybody gets a car!
This week, a Muslim politician in Quebec, this woman, Eve Torres, who wears a hijab, who ran for the left-wing Quebec Solidaire Party, who is a public affairs spokesman for the Islamist National Council of Canadian Muslims, she made a threat. Or a joke. Sounded like a threat to me. She later said it was a joke. I'll show you what she said, and you can judge for yourself. Now, the thing is, it's all in French. And not a single newspaper or radio station or TV station or newswire service in English Canada, not one, has reported on this. So you can see here that I'm reading from a French newspaper called La Presse, which you probably know is the newspaper of record in Montreal. I wanted to show you that in its natural state because now I'm going to put that article through the Google translator, which is imperfect, but I wanted to show it to you in French first. In English, it says, "Fire of Notre Dame. Manon Masse distances herself from Eve Torres." Manon Masse. So the Notre Dame fire is obvious. That's the horrific fire that consumed so much of Paris's ancient cathedral. Manon Masse is the leader of the Quebec Solidaire Party, that's her there, for whom Eve Torres was a candidate. The controversial comments of a former Quebec Solidaire candidate on the fire that ravaged the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris put Quebec Solidaire in trouble on Tuesday. Now, I'm not right now interested in the fallout that her political party, I really don't care about that. So let's focus on what she said. Again, I'm using the Google translation of La Presse. In a confused message posted and removed from her Facebook page, Torres, who has already been a political analyst invited to the show La Joute on the TVA network, suggested the fire in Paris Monday would be the result of a divine intervention related to the prohibition of religious symbols in France. According to Ms. Torres, banning religious signs can stoke the wrath of the imaginary friend, and then here is the result, according to her. I would be Prime Minister François Legault, I would sleep firefighters at the Basilica of Notre Dame Street in Montreal, she continues. Okay, so pretty clear, but let me be clearer, because that was a funny translation by machine. Eve Torres, a hijab-wearing Muslim activist, official spokesman for a large Muslim lobby group, former candidate for an Islam-oriented left-wing political party in Quebec, said that the fire in Paris that consumed the Notre Dame was divine punishment to France for banning the Muslim burqa, which France has done, and which Francois Legault, they call him the Prime Minister in Quebec, he's the Premier. Francois Legault, their Premier, is proposing to do the same thing, or a similar thing, in Bill 21. That's the bill I walked you through the other day. It doesn't actually ban the burqa in public. It doesn't actually mention Islam or Muslims or any religion. It just assures that the government itself is secular in Quebec, and it bans face covering for certain government jobs and religious symbols from others, any religious symbols. Well, Yves Torres says, if I were Legault, I'd have firemen sleeping at Montreal's great cathedral. That's what she said. That's what she said. Really. So she's like those wacko Westboro Baptist Church kooks, you know what I'm talking about? Who protest at funerals for American soldiers saying God hates gays or whatever. Just weird, macabre extremists mocking a tragedy. They do that at funerals, which is so awful. So this Yves Torres says that fire in Paris, that's punishment for banning Muslim burqas. And you better watch out, Montreal. What a freak, what a kook. But then she goes further, from musing to threatening. If I were Premier Legault, I would have firefighters sleep at the Basilica of Notre Dame Street. She's talking about this mighty church in Montreal. Perhaps the finest church in North America? Certainly amongst them. Gorgeous. Look at that. Stunning. Stunning. There has been a church on this place since the year 1657. Now, the current church was built in 1824. Took 5 years to build, so 1829. So it's almost 200 years old, but like I say, it dates back more than 350 years, the first church there. That's almost as important a church in Quebec as Notre Dame was in Paris, not just religion, but history and art and architecture, but much more than that. Everything that happened in that church, around the church, because of the church, all who were in that church for reasons small or large, grand events, or tiny events, or even an individual's own religious reasons. How many millions over the centuries have been through that church for some meaningful reason? The church is like a mountain. Except a mountain is just a thing. This is much more meaningful. It is nothing but meaning. But it's always been there. It's just there. It's as much a part of Montreal as the river is, or the island, or a mountain. And imagine saying, yeah, nice church you got there. Nice city you got there. Nice province you got there. It would be a shame if anything happened to it. You know, the wrath of Allah or whatever, or maybe some arson. Hey, better have firemen sleep at that gorgeous, gorgeous church just in case.